onto the transport sector because it is potentially affecting many individuals. And I'm sure if you have boarded commercial transport this morning, you may have noticed there have been some 20% or so increase in the fares that you may have paid for each of the destinations in parts of the country. The transport operators are this afternoon meeting the Transport Ministry over the fresh fare hikes. Across the country, the operators are charging some 20% more across board after a directive was communicated on Friday. The 20% spike, according to the drivers, has become necessary because of a continuous increase in fuel prices and cost of petroleum products. Some of the individuals who have patronized vehicle services today have been expressing their frustrations, but for some driver unions, they would have wished that a lot more would have been charged. Industrial Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, Abasi Moro, says they may be compelled to revise the fares upward again if fuel prices continue to soar. We understand the meeting between the leadership of the transport unions and the ministry will determine whether to cut down on the 20% or maintain it, with the commitment that the continuous rise in petroleum prices will be checked. And we're going to be touching base and hearing from some of the individuals who have been sharing their frustrations with us. But let's just take a quick look at the percentages in terms of transport fare increases over the period. Let me just run by you some of them. So we know that between May 22nd of May, there was a 20% increase in transport fares, which we know, bit hard. There's also been a February 22, 15% increase in fares. And then there's also been a June 21, 13% hike in transport fares. And these are the reasons why the transport operators are having to adjust their fares upward: high cost of fuel, high cost of port charges, also cost of spare parts, according to the transport operators, have since risen, and also having to do with the general economic conditions of the country. We know in March, inflation was some 19.4%. February, it was 15.7%. So these are having to, aggregate to become, the increases we're seeing on the transport fare front, which we understand is agitating a lot of passengers who have been using commercial transport all day. My colleague Emmanuel Samani has been gauging the mood at the 37 lorry terminal following the increase of the transport fares by 20%.
Honestly, it's absurd because I was here last week. That was on Thursday. I picked a car from Tema to this place, and then I was taking. That was the 9 cities. Then today I had to board a car from Tema, 11 cities, 2 cities. It's so bad. And I got here to, it's from 8 city 50 pesos to 9 city 50 pesos. It's absurd. They should try and do something about it because in fact, I did my budget. I didn't know there's going to be an increment. At least there should be an announcement or something before it's been increased.
They said they are higher too much. One can say we are system near D. There be our more increasing lorry fare. Times are
hard. You can't even afford 3 square meal a day. This is not what we were promised.
And yes, I know Mukatri and San Muba Power. And yes, I know Mukatri. Until Mumuyan be far away.
Humanity, aware of the blah. Fu and a boy at the end of the blah. Or not to fu and bears 3 times or 4 times. It's an area.
Fuel has become expensive, so we are increasing fares.
First, no, utofu 150 krona, 2 and ultimately, and not totally this ground to me from Pont. Intini had to feel no.
Abai, on why or fuel consumption, on my boca baby, intino, on fuel and some from now, send a passenger voice on Mafoka.
Government should look at the fuel prices. Our passengers don't understand why we increase the fares.
Increase that so. Yeah, but your passenger for the increase that so normally issue. Ya too low for him. So back fuel side on. Send a turn is yes and a turn beam. The price be there also.
So those are some of the commuters who have been speaking to us, following the 20% hike in transport fares across the board. On social media, many of you have been speaking about this subject. So, for example, Young Paddy says government needs to increase salaries of workers with an immediate effect, also because of the economic conditions that we have, according to him. Now, Nanaku Mankwa says everything is seriously increasing except salaries. What exactly is government doing to us, she asks. Then we take some more. Eli Aku says, God is our helper in times of need. Me, I always say Ghanaians are magicians. You take 1,000 or 1,500 cedis monthly. You take care of your family from it, transport to work from it, hospital bills, other utility bills, rent, and send some to your extended family members. God is our helper. Eli Aku writes there. Kweku Aqua says, from Ashaiman to Tema was 3 cedis 70 pesos, an increase to 4 cedis 50 pesos. Dear, why? It's too much. Kweku Aqua there. And those are some of your comments, especially on Facebook, following the increase in transport fares. We understand that that meeting between the leadership of the transport unions and the Ministry of Transport currently happening, and so we'll be monitoring that particular meeting. But the 20% fare adjustment announced by the transport operators is yet to take effect in some parts of the country. Let's begin from the northern region, where our colleague Christopher Mako is reporting that many of the transport operators say they are waiting for an official directive from their leadership to do so.
Over the weekend, some transport operators across the country increased transport fares by 20%. Here in the greater Tamale area, we are finding out from transport operators and passengers as well if this has taken effect in the region.
Still, we are not increase the price because the price is from the main office, Kumasi. But still, we are using the old price. Executive is the 155, normal bus 130. Because when the time we increase is not more time. By best 4 months ago. Till right now we are not increased the price again. We wait for the price for the head office.
In fact, I don't feel fine because at least from Accra to Bolga, initially we were paying 150, and then all of a sudden it went to 180. And I am a worker, I'm a public sector worker. My salary is still the same. And so if transport fares are always increase rather, and our salary are still being the same. I mean, they are doing harm to us.
That's the situation in parts of the northern region, but what is the situation in the Ashanti region capital? My colleague, William Evans Inkum, has been gauging the mood at Sufoline Transport Terminal.
So on the streets, there hasn't been any new fares as far as commercial transportation is concerned. You're still charging the old fares, but we are getting that hopefully by Friday, transport fares will be reviewed here in the Ashanti region. So for instance, if you are traveling from Sufoline, where I am now, to Adum, the central business district, and you are going by taxi, you are still charged 6 Ghana cedis. If you are also going by trotro from Sufoline to Macro, it is 2 cedis 90 pesos, and that is what they've been charging. Nothing has changed. They are still waiting for the new transport fares, which is expected to be announced by the GPRTU to be made known. Then it will reflect.
We are waiting up to by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If nothing is said about it, then we can increase the fares.
So you will increase the fares if by Wednesday the mother union hasn't communicated anything?
Then you know what, they will just call us that you have to increase the fares to either 20%, 15%. As at now, I cannot confirm. But really, we will increase the fares.
Now, we know this is influenced by hikes in fuel prices, right?
From the last day we increased the fares, the fuel have been increased per gallon by 50 pesos. So even, in fact, it's a hard time for us to, even if we've just wasted more time, it should have been increased earlier than this time. So by Wednesday, things will go up.
If the fuel prices are reviewed downwards, should we expect fares coming down?
Downwards to 9 cedis 50 pesos per what they've increased when we also increase the fares. That's when we agree with that. But not that you just increase 55 pesos, 10 pesos, 20 pesos. That's not an decrement.
So that's the situation in the Ashanti region there. They're waiting till somewhere around Wednesday to effect these changes. But the Ghana Road Transport Union, GPRTU, says government is aware of a 20% increase in transport fares which have been effected. Industrial Relations Officer of GPRTU, Moro Abbas, said government was ready to on May 6, 3 clear days before the implementation date, but government ignored earlier attempts by the coalition to meet government in March for discussions on the airport review also failed. Morabas has been speaking to us.
We have written to them, there hasn't been any response, even administratively. If someone writes to you and you are not even ready immediately, you have to at least acknowledge receipt of the letter so that you look at appropriate time and talk to the person. So if they are satisfied today, well, why not? No one consulted when fuel prices are going to be increased. We are not consulted. So if we want to change the lorry fare, we have to consult. Those who serve, even businessmen and women, travel to China. Look at the plane fare. Accra, Beijing, Accra. And within the men buying flowers, just flowers of what they will come and sell within the men, they are okay with their profit. It goes back again. Everybody is doing business, benefit out of it. If the egg, which was around 1 city, today egg is 2 cities. Egg. When your child is crying, you buy egg just to make sure you cool your child tempers down. It's not 2 cities. And nobody talks about it. Even on the 6th May, we actually wrote to them that we will have increased our lorry fares to 20%. We just inform them, yes. So it is up to them if they decide to dialogue with us or do further business with us. Why not? We have just written informing them we've increased our lorry fares to 20%. We have increased it to 20%. We've written to the transport